they rely so much on people, but I always find that what you give them, a dog will give you back tenfold. They're loyal. There's everything. I was going to say everything what humans should be, should I say?
The Newcastle Dog and Cat Shelter has been rehoming animals in the northeast since 1896. The shelter helps animals that are lost, unwanted, neglected, abused or abandoned to find their forever homes. Based in the Long Benton suburb of the city, the charity is run by a mix of paid staff and volunteers. Damien, who works on the animal welfare team, has been both.
People always ask me, what do you do for a job? And I tell them, every single person. People out there who hate their jobs, who go, that sounds amazing. I'd love to do that type of job. You know, it gets you fit anywhere. There are all different sections of the kennels as well. So you got, the last place you were in was Maine. This is Doggy Towers. This is your agility pen.
Midnight is a 3-year-old cane corso who's been with us for over 70 days at the time of recording. She actually came to us as a stray. When she first arrived, she was quite reserved when it came to strangers, and it did take her quite a while to warm up to people. But thanks to the work from our animal care staff, people like Damien, it's just come a really long way, and she's really confident with strangers now. She loves showing her tricks. She knows sit and spin. Go on, do spin. Good girl. She just honestly adores people now, so it's really nice to see how far she's come. I'm the community engagement officer for the shelter. I deal with visits to schools. I organise tours around the shelter for schools. My talks include teaching children about animal welfare practices or potential career opportunities for older students. I also deal with care home visits. We have a scheme called Care Home Companions, where we take one of the dogs into a care home to meet some of the residents. And I also deal with the social media for the shelter. It's a team effort, but I'm in charge of the social media for the shelter.
This is Kiki. She originally, there she is. She had puppies, which they've all been rehomed now.
So this is Rocco. He is currently looking for a home. Hopefully, by the time this goes out, he's found one. So he's currently on the website. He is a 9-month-old baby. 9 months old?
About 9 months.
Oh, 9 months old. Down as a crossbreed. So who knows what mum dad is. But he's very, very lovely. Very, very beautiful boy. Looking for a lovely, lovely home. We used to be open to the public 7 days a week. All day pretty much, from early afternoon until later in the evening. The public would come in. They would view all of the animals on site. They would come into reception and fill in an application form to show an interest. We would assess the application forms there and then. If they were suitable, or a good match, I should say, we would send them down to meet the animal. And if that went great, they could, at that point, rehome there and then. So it was a little bit rushed and it could be quite chaotic. And I used to call it the mosh pit next door because it was busy all the time. And you didn't really get that kind of personal touch, and there wasn't as close a relationship. So during lockdown, when the world locked down, it allowed us the time to stop and kind of reassess the way we did everything. So we had to move on to an online rehoming process at that moment. We weren't allowed public on site, but it actually gave us the opportunity to see how that could work and how it did work. And it worked really well.
When the public were in and out all day, every day, they were just up a height all the time, because especially animals that might struggle with strangers, if they've then got the public walking past them all day, it's a lot for them.
And it just allowed us to have a better relationship with our rehomers and be a bit more personal with them and get to know them a little bit better. And although the process might take a wee bit longer, it actually works a lot better for the animals, rather than people being able to maybe make emotional decisions there and then. If you were successful to be the chosen candidate for the animal, of course, you get invited down to meet.
So the day consists of, so when we come in the morning, so what we do is, we get their feeds ready. Sometimes they get veterinary, they have to go to the vets. So we give them a walk around and make sure they do the toilets before going. And then we set up their feeds. any medication they need as well for that morning. And then generally clean from top to bottom. So the way it works is shake all the bedding out, make sure all the beds are clean, pick poo. That's the other thing is poo checking, make sure they're healthy, observe them as well. You gotta observe them, make sure you can always tell with a dog if they're not right, especially when you know them quite well.
Are we ready?
Then once we've cleaned the kennels and changed the bedding, then it's walk time. I do various stuff with them, like it's enrichment as well.
Yeah, you've been nice.
Snuffle mat, Kongs, anything like that, which does a lot for them in like a restricted environment as well.
So she's been here quite a while, like I say. She's one of our longest stayed dogs. Unfortunately, she's not had as much interest as we would like. We think maybe down to her breed, with potential upcoming legislation against cane corsos that might be putting people off. But if they meet midnight, they'll see what a wonderful dog she is. She should make a perfect addition to our family.
Hiya, Roxy. Hiya, Roxy. How's we go? Hello, you good. There you.
Certain dogs I love to take off sites, just getting used to a bit more out the site, away from the shelter, because it's quite, if you think about it, it's quite hard for a dog. The smells, the noise, you don't always see the true character of that dog as well.
The shelter is such an unnatural environment for an animal to be in. It's really difficult to assess their behaviours just in here without any prior history of what they would be like in a home. So we are assessing and you know, sort of judging their behaviours entirely from their behaviours in here. Well, even my dogs, when they come in, if they come in when I'm at work, entirely different. They're nothing like what they are in the home. So the correlation between kind of behaviours in a shelter and behaviours in a home can be entirely different, which is another reason why we've been happy to close for public viewing, because you're not really, a lot of people, you know, they want to see the animal in the kennel because they're looking for that connection with the animal in the kennel. But actually, there's many of our dogs, and the animal you see in the kennel,
Like a true representation.
it's not a true representation of who the dog is. So I think it's better that, you know, we have the opportunity to get to know the dog a little bit better in various situations and then be able to pass that information on.
She's an ex-racer. Lovely girl, pretty calm, usually. She's got bad legs at the moment, so she's on short lead walks only. I've got a weigher on the weighing scales in this room here. This is obviously to make sure
Sit.
her weight's keeping steady. She's not losing it, not gaining too much. We do this weekly. Has to be done weekly, put onto a computer system, which then the managers can monitor. What this does is helps the rehoming team, because we document everything we do every day. She's a little bit nervous of traffic, but she's all right. She's doing good.
We've got our delightful Sue, our driver, and she does the park run every Saturday. So she takes a different one of our dogs out on the park run with her every Saturday, and they wear their little high vis and they go and do the park run. And it's absolutely lush because she gets to see what they're like in a car, what they're like on a run, what they're like with other people, what they're like with other dogs outside of the shelter environment.
And then we just keep doing the same, walking, training, doing enrichment with them, until then later on, we do sort of donations, we sort all them out, and like all your blankets and food, and then we clean up again, and we refeed them, and make sure they're bedded and make sure they're comfortable before we leave them. Make sure they haven't got any toys they can choke on, because we're not here. Really important with dogs, especially this young, to get socialised with other dogs, especially when they're this young, because obviously it's important, because if you go over into adolescence, it becomes harder to get social to other dogs, not reactive. So we do this quite a lot. But we call them puppy parties, and we just chuck some puppies in together and let them just get on with each other.
And midnight's come a long way, learning new tricks. Another way that's just come along really well is the fact that she will just surrender the ball for her to play with. Come on, drop. Good girl.
I love taking them down this pathway. It's quiet. They can sniff, and they can hear animals like birds, and they just relax away from the traffic, away from the shelter. They can just decompress a bit. If you're thinking maybe, should I, shouldn't I? Volunteering is probably one of the most important aspects of this job. When, for an example, a volunteer will come in and they'll do the cleaning for me, and I can do this sort of stuff, behaviour stuff. I especially love off lead. That's why you see dogs properly going for it. We're quite lucky as a shelter. We've got a massive field. It's huge. And a lot of your high energy dogs, just letting them run in there for a little bit, it does so much good for them. There's so many smells and so much they can see because there's a open fence. They can see other dogs, which is quite good as well. You can sort of get a gauge if they're reactive or not. They get to hang out with the pigs, which they all seem to like.
It lies on our shoulders to make sure we get it right for them. We don't want to let them down again. They've already been let down by, society or whatever.
I thought the opportunity to work here, even as an apprenticeship, would be something that I just simply can't pass up.
Do something you love to do. Don't waste your life.
So 2 years ago, we lost, she died. Holly, our golden retriever, died at the age of 16. And it was devastating. Fred went into a full-scale sadness, and we discussed potentially getting another golden retriever. But my conscience wouldn't let me buy a golden retriever puppy. Golden retrievers don't come up for rehoming very often. So we've had 2 dogs from the cat and dog shelter already. And we just came in and, we've just made an application, went online. There was 3 dogs that potentially we thought would fit into our house. So put 3 names down, filled in the application form, and we got accepted for Millie. So she's been with us for 2 weeks. She was called Magic. Within 4 days, she knew her name was Millie. And now we're going on for the full adoption.
If you average it out over the year, we pretty much rehome, well, more than 1 animal a day, which there's Katie and I full-time on the rehoming team, which I think would probably shock a lot of people. I think people assume we've got this massive team. We don't. We're a charity. We've got very very limited resources for everything we do.
Are you the star of the show?
There is 2 full-time, and then we have our lovely Ava who works 2 days a week as well, and that's our complete rehoming team.
We never really used to have that many foster carers. Something that we're working on now, just getting more of a bank of them there to use for dogs that might be struggling a little bit in the kennels, and cats as well. And then again, they go in a foster home, it gives them a break from the shelter, but also it provides us as a rehoming team with so much more information to put them in a home because they've been in a home, so we know kind of the report on their behaviour from their foster carers.
Yes.
A lot of people generally go for the small spaniels stuff and like lurchers, but you generally always find like bigger breeds are so much harder.
In the cat rehoming side of things, unfortunately, it does go down to colours.
Yeah.
So, if you've got a litter of kittens...
And there's you had 2 grey, 2 ginger, 1 black. The black's going to be the last one to go.
There was a lot of talk about, is it like kind of the Sunderland Association with a black cat? But it's not. It's across the board, across shelters, and I'm sure it's worldwide, but certainly in the UK, black and white animals are the hardest to rehome.
Well, I've actually just rehomed a black cat who was with for quite a while called Kipper. He didn't have much interest, but after a post on socials, we got a lot of shares from followers, and he's just recently found his home, which is really lovely to see.
The dogs come to get properly rehomed after they've been on foster, and when they come and see you, they still remember you, and they come running over to you, and they still know what you did. There seems to be a lot more stray dogs at the moment. Obviously, there's a lot of issues around feeding them now. Bully ban. You know, there's so many issues like feeding. Veterinary care is a big issue for a lot of people out there. If you take them to a vet and it's going to cost you £1,000, you can make them released, make them a stray, and they will then taken in various other shelters, different shelters in the UK. Well, that duty of care.
The trouble we get is because we get so many strays in, we then fill up. So then people who are reaching out to us to be on our waiting list to surrender the animals, we can't get through as quickly as we would like because we're that full with strays. But it does make the process a lot harder. Not harder at rehome, but a little bit longer because we've got to give time for an owner to come forward. We then need to do a bit more of a thorough assessment of the animal because when an animal's coming from their owner, we get a ton of information that's come with the animal. When an animal's turned up as a stray, we don't know their name, if they're not microchipped, and we don't know if they've lived with other animals previously, children previously, what kind of life they've had before, why they've come into shelter. So it does make it a little bit trickier to rehome when they come in with no background information about them.
Many people took on dogs as pets during the COVID lockdowns, but not everyone necessarily wanted to hang on to them after those restrictions had ended.
And the shelters became inundated with dogs. And it's a little bit like the bully ban that came in. A lot of people had them. And obviously exemption, that's why you had to exemption, muzzle trade, castration or whatever, spay. But there was people not wanting to do that and then dropping the dog off, making them stray. It was actually how I got into this was through when COVID happened. So I was part of retail. And then someone said to us, I thought, shall I do something different? And I did. And I went back to college at Kirkley Hall and I got my diploma, which I was so proud of. Come on then. And then, because part of your course you've got to work hours, so my limit was 150 hours. That's what you had to do for your course. But then those 150 hours became 3 and a bit years, half years. Even went on to my university degree as well. And I just didn't want to leave. Even when I was snowed under with assignments, all sorts, didn't want to stop. It was well worth going back to school at my late age. I always think you don't work with animals for money because there is not well paid, but for the amount of hours you do. But I think job satisfaction is a major thing for me, and especially like my mental health. It was actually as well my dad, bless him. My dad has terminal cancer, and he said he's still alive now, but he always said to me, do something you love to do, don't waste your life. And this was pretty much what I'm doing. I see people sit in offices, I'm like, no.
I finished university. I got a degree in mass communication with advertising. And after a long job search, I saw the opportunity to work here as an apprentice. And after having a lifetime obsession with dogs, I thought the opportunity to work here, even as an apprenticeship, would be something that I just simply can't pass up. Like the chance to help animals every single day, to find the forever homes and to help the shelter actually care for them during their stay here is just such a rewarding job. It's absolutely fantastic.
I've worked in many different industries. I've worked with various different types of people. I've never worked with people who combine together to make a great team for the animals. Like regardless who you are, if you get on, whatever, friends. Unfortunately, not so long ago, I was fostering a puppy here. and he unfortunately passed not so long ago. Obviously, I took it quite hard, that, as you do. But the support from the team was, I cannot put it to words how good it was, like from the entire team. But I've worked in other places where they're like, yeah, still got 5 hours to go, yeah? You see what I mean? And it's just a great place to work and environment to work. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's not all cuddling dogs or cuddling kittens. There's a lot of hard graft that goes behind the scenes. A lot of mess to pick up, a lot of poo to pick up, and toys ripped open. But as long as you're empathetic and you care about other things, you can do this job. Anyone can do this job. Just takes hard work, long hours, and not like a lot of money.
So for a dog, we will typically go for a nice walk so they can have a little bit of play on lead with them and make sure that they're happy to walk them. Have some off-lead time. We've got this lovely space where we come and do this and just spend time and have a cuddle. With the cats, we typically take them down to their pens. We don't want to stress them out by kind of moving rooms with them. The dream being at the end of a socialisation, the family fell in love with whatever animal they've come in to meet, at which point they can either opt to go straight forward to the rehome, or with the dogs, we offer a home trial first, which typically lasts for a week or two.
They absolutely love each other. Don't you, Fred? Where's the Vubu? Where's Nelly? Go see Nell. As you can see, they play together, they sleep together. He shows her what to do. Millie's learning how to be dog. The cat, not so much. But Cat's got her territory, rabbits have got their territory, and everybody coexists nicely.
People will apply for an animal and they may feel, like I say, that, you know, that they're a perfect match just because they would like the animal. And it's just not always the case. That a lot of these animals who come into the shelter, they might have some quite complicated behavioural needs. Mm-hmm. And again, you know, I think it lies on our shoulders to make sure we get it right for them. We don't want to let them down again. They've already been let down by, society or whatever. So we want to make sure that we get it right for them. And the dream being that it all goes great and they come back and complete the rehome and then go on to live there very happy ever after.
And happy ever after comes with one note of caution.
Anybody who wants to rehome an animal, think about it. It's a commitment. It's not just, it's tiring. You've got to get them used to you. You've got to get used to them. And it can be expensive. You know, when you've got to think about your budget's got to stretch to any emergency. These little guys need feeding, good food, not any old rubbish. There's training involved. You're going to lose bits and pieces of your furniture. The things that you did love might get broken. It's not their fault. You've got to put the commitment in to train them. You know, good girl. But yeah, do it if you've got space in your home and in your heart. But one of these little dudes, please do it.
Roxy found a new home in April 2025. Rocco was rehomed in May, as was Kiki. And Midnight's time finally came when she went to a loving new home in late June.